is 5 o'clock, and here's the world news at 5. First, the top stories. Ogun, 18 other states to receive ecological fund denied them in 2013. Acting president says Nigerians have the right to discuss their stay in the country. Ohanes Indigo calls for meaningful dialogue on the future of Nigeria. Kwara United player slumps and died during training session in Ilorin. Hamas kill 3 suspected Israeli spies over leader's death. US airstrike on Islamic State killed 105 civilians in Iraqi city. I am Tobi Joseph, bringing you the news in details shortly. Ogun State and 18 other states may each get 2 billion naira from the Ecological Fund anytime from now. A committee set up by the National Economic Council, headed by Governor Nasser El-Rufai, in the report says the 19 states were excluded by the Jonathan administration in disbursing 2 billion naira each to the state in 2013. 18 other states, mostly controlled by the opposition parties, who were left out of the disbursement by the Jonathan administration are Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Borno, Edo, Ekiti, Imo, Jigawa, and Kano. Other states left out are Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Osun, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Yobe, Zamfara, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Federal government says it has sent 2 bills to the National Assembly to enable micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs access more loans for their businesses. Acting President Yemi Oshibajo, who made this known at the 57th Annual General Meeting (AGM) of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture (NASIMA) in Abeokuta, also says that the presidency has set up a committee to look into the issue. Oshibajo, represented by the President's Senior Special Assistant on Trade, Industry and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, explains that the committee includes Ministers of Transportation, Foreign Affairs and Environment, as well as the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
They don't have this, you don't harass by customs, they don't harass by road safety when you're moving your goods from all parts of the country. So we have our tenants, finance, transport, finances, information, all the
The newly elected president of NASIMA, Iyalode Alaba-Lawson, says the body is ready to weather the storm of the economic recession with the cooperation of government at all levels. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, represented by his wife, Mrs. Bola Obasanjo, says he is optimistic that the leadership of NASIMA by Alaba-Lawson will impact positively on the economy. Also, Governor Bikuli Amuson, represented by the Commerce and Industry Commissioner, Otuba Bimbo Ashiru, urges the new NASIMA president to come up with innovations that will help in tackling the recession.
The reward of many years of hard work and contribution to the socio-economic development of our nation by Iyalode. Our emergence as the first female president of NASIMA therefore didn't come as a surprise to us. This is because this is Ogun State and
The ECOWAS representatives of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Jean Bakole, who was a guest speaker, says the economic recovery of Nigeria will be more meaningful if the issue of transportation, electricity, easy access to loans by micro, small and medium entrepreneurs, and insecurity are effectively tackled. The investiture of Lawson as NASIMA president later in the day was attended by dignitaries, including the acting president's wife, Mrs. Dolapo Shivajo, Governor Bikula Muso and his Jigawa state counterpart, Alhaji Badaro Abubakar, Senator Larry Tejoshu, and the Ogun State Deputy Governor, Mrs. Yetude Ononuga. Others were the Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Suraj Adekombi, Secretary to the Ogun State Government, Taiwo Adeoluwa, the wife of Alaafin of Oyo, the Olu of Ilaro, Ọba Kẹ́hìndé Ògúngbẹ̀lé, the Òṣìlẹ̀ Òkè-Ọ̀nà-Ìgbà, Ọba Adédàpọ̀ Tẹ́júoṣó, the Olúbàrà of Ìbàrà land, Ọba Jacob Ọmọládé, as well as the outgoing president of the association, Dr. Bassey Edem, and representatives of chambers of commerce within and outside the country. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo says Nigerians have the right to discuss if they want to remain in the country. Osinbajo, however, says Nigerians are greater when they remain in one country than when they are apart. The acting president, speaking in Abuja at a conference organized by the Shehu Musa Yaradua Foundation to mark the 50th anniversary at the end of the Nigerian-Biafra War, disagreed with those who believe that secession is the answer to the cases of marginalization. Frustration, according to him, should not drive Nigerians to regard themselves as enemies. He told the conference that time and resources used in the execution of war could move the nation forward. Meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has asked the governments to enter into dialogue with those agitating for a new Biafra in order to effectively address their grievances. Obasanjo says those pushing for a new Biafra should not be asked to go, but be convinced that there is enough cake to share. The former president, who spoke in Abuja at a conference organized to mark the 50th anniversary of the Nigerian-Biafra War, however, says the agitators do not understand what it entails because most of them were not born during the period of the defunct Biafra. Obasanjo believed that the fundamental problem of Nigeria is that it never had national leaders, explaining that the leaders of the period of independence were regional leaders. He added that the young military officers who staged Nigeria's first military coup demonstrated a form of nationalism but set Nigeria back. Ohanaeze Ndigbo has called for a meaningful dialogue among Nigerians to determine the future of the country. The organization's President General, Kwesili Nwodo, who made the call in Abuja at the 90th birthday lecture of Chief Edwin Clark, says that Nigerians, since independence from the colonial masters, have not been able to agree on a political structure for the country. According to him, almost all Nigerians agree that Nigeria is not working, but note that there is still no consensus on how to fix the problems. Nwodo says Nigeria for long has allowed the bitterness of the civil war and its lingering effects to dictate political relationships in the country. Gunmen suspected to be militants have abducted 6 students from Lagos Model College at Igbonla near Ekwe in Lagos State. The gunmen initially abducted 10 students from their hostels in the early hours of Thursday, but later released 4 of them after profiling their parents' background. The names of the students taken away by the gunmen are Peter Jonah, Isaac Ramon, Adebayo George, Judah Agbausi, Pelumi Phillips, and Farouk Yusuf. Armed policemen and other security operatives have been deployed to search for the gunmen and their captives. Meanwhile, some of the parents of other students at the college have been taking them away from the school. You're still listening to the World News at 5 on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next will be your foreign, business, and sport news. Please stay with us. 3 men accused over the killing of a leader of the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas have been put to death by the group in the Gaza Strip. One was accused of killing Mazen Fakwa, while the other 2 were accused of involvement. All 3 were said to have collaborated with Israel. 2 were hanged, while the 3rd was killed by a firing squad in front of hundreds of witnesses. Hamas has controlled the Gaza Strip since ejecting a rival Palestinian faction, the Fatah, from power nearly 10 years ago. Hamas was shot when Foucault was shot dead near his house in March and imposed tight border restrictions on Palestinians trying to leave the Gaza Strip. Human rights groups had called on the Islamist movement not to carry out the executions just 2 weeks after it announced the arrest and aired videos of what it said were the men's confessions. The United States has admitted that at least 105 Iraqi civilians were killed in an airstrike it carried out on Mosul in March. U.S. Central Command said it had targeted 2 snipers from so-called Islamic State with what it called a precision-guided munition. However, the strike detonated explosives that militants had placed at the building, CENTCOM said. Civilians sheltering in the lower floors were killed when it collapsed. Eyewitnesses claimed another 36 non-combatants were also in the building, but U.S. authorities said it had insufficient evidence to determine their status. US officials said the type of bomb was chosen to minimize collateral damage, but the explosives hidden by IS were at least 4 times more powerful than the weapon itself. In business, at last the Senate has passed the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, 17 years after it was initiated by the presidency to reposition the oil and gas industry. The bill passed the third reading at the Senate plenary following the submission of report of the Petroleum Upstream, Petroleum Downstream, and the Gas Committees. The bill was considered clause by clause with some amendments. Senate President Bukola Saraki says the passage of the bill is for both investors and Nigerians. The bill is to be forwarded to the House of Representatives for concurrence before it will be sent to the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, for his assent. Finally, on the World News at 5, Sport News. Nigeria's second-tier outfit, Kwara United, have been thrown into mourning following the sudden death of one of their players, Saka Aziz, on Friday. The club's spokesman, Abdulwahid Bibire, says the defender slumped and died during a training session at the Kwara State Stadium in Ilori. He further explained that the head coach, John Obo, was drilling the team in a 2-on-2 session when the incident occurred. Bibire added that Aziz did not complain of any pain and even attended an award ceremony prior to the day of his death with his father, Kasali Lasisi, a former Nigerian and African table tennis champion. The Kwara United media officer also informed that Aziz, who joined the Nigerian National League club from Zamfara FC this season, was one of those who passed the medical test at the start of this campaign. Plateau United forward Ruben Bala has said his side will not surrender the summit to the ongoing Nigerian Professional Football League. The 10-city side kept their prime position intact with a hard-fought score draw on Sunday at top-flight newcomers Katsina United. Bala said a match-day 21 clash against the newcomers and bottom-place side Remo Stars offers his side a golden opportunity to further widen the gap at the top. The Jos Landlords are top of the 20-team Nigerian top 5 log on 36 points, 2 ahead of closest challengers Mountain of Fire Miracles Ministries FC. That was the World News at 5, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Ogun, 18 other states to receive ecological fund deny them in 2013. Acting President says Nigerians have the right to discuss their stay in the country. Ohaneze Indigo calls for meaningful dialogue on the future of Nigeria. Kwara United player slumps and dies during training session in Ilori. On the foreign scene, we told you that Hamas has killed 3 suspected Israeli spies over their leader's death. We also told you that US airstrike on Islamic State killed 105 civilians in Iraqi city. For more stories or to listen to us live, please log on to our website at www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you so much for listening. I am Tobi Joseph. Good evening.